So my friend special ordered the brand new
What is this guy?
2024 Integra Type S, which came as a surprise to me because I didn't even realize they existed. But before we get too ahead of
Yeah, dude, this
ourselves,
thing looks
let's
real sick.
just look at this thing. Now, I'm not a big fan of many modern cars, but this one was a little different to me, and I'm not sure if it's the nostalgia or its aggressive lowered stance thanks to its shared suspension with the Type R, a slick design with functional aerodynamics, or even the real carbon fiber accents strategically placed around the car. We haven't seen an Integra in about 20 years, not including the RSX, but there are still some memories of the last generation scattered around, such as the Integra logo on the front and rear bumper, exactly as it would have been 20 years ago. And it also still has that iconic liftback that the older generations would have had. Now, this isn't the only car that's had a comeback in recent years, the most notable of which to me would have been the Supra and the Nissan Z, and both of which got their little taste of modernization while attempting to stick to the original platform as much as possible. Now, there's definitely cars that the Type S could be compared to, but of course, the first comparison you're going to get is of the Civic Type R for very obvious reasons. But there are some things the Type S has that the Civic lacks, or more importantly, what you get for that extra 5 to 8 grand. The Type S comes with more sound dampening front to rear for a more comfortable, relaxing experience. Also, due to the lack of the front resonator that you would have in the Type R and a baffled exhaust in the rear, the exhaust noise can be changed. And when in Sport Plus mode, the car lets out those burbles and popping noises that we all should love. Now, the Type S only weighs about 20 to 30 more pounds than the Civic, but it also makes 5 more horsepower than the Type R, which makes 315 horsepower and 310 foot-pounds of torque, where the Type S makes 320 horsepower and the same amount of torque because they're both powered by the same turbocharged 2-liter K20C1 4-cylinder motor, which does have a 7,000 RPM redline. They also both have a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, if you can remember, the 2001 Integra Type R had a 195 horsepower B-Series motor. Compared to today, it's a pretty big jump, but back then, that was a decent amount of horsepower. The old 2001 Integra only weighed about 2,600 pounds, as the 2024 now weighs 3,200 pounds. If you haven't already noticed, the opening on the hood was changed and moved closer to the front of the car to help move more cold air through the engine bay, thus helping prevent overheating, which was becoming common at the track with the Type R. There's also a new overdeveloped LSD that I've heard a lot about and is apparently like no other, which helps put power exactly where it's needed throughout corners and sharp acceleration. Coming to the front of the car, the bottom of the front bumper has ducting which flows air through the bumper and is scooped by a baffle behind the rotor, which then in turn cools the brakes. The Type S also has a wider body than the regular Integra, giving it a wider stance and better handling. So how practical is this car, and what other options do you have in this price and performance range? Well, the 2024 Integra Type S starts at around $52,000. This model specifically was special ordered with the carbon fiber added on as an option. But as you can tell, it's a 4-door, which is your only option. Now, my friend is a father, and he also has a wife he needs to keep happy, but when he saw it came out, he said it was the perfect car, and he knew he needed to order one. It does have plenty of room, it's extremely safe, and it also has plenty of power. He does also build race cars and goes to the track more than most people I know, so his taste is a little different from normal people and parents. So I'd say this car was almost meant for people that like reliable, performance-driven cars, but need the extra space to keep it practical. And also, it is one of the few cars left with a 6-speed manual transmission. With a vehicle in the price range of $50,000+, this is a serious purchase to most people and is likely going to be either main transportation or something that was extremely special to someone. It's pretty hard to find a 4-door with a manual 6-speed transmission and front-wheel drive that's still being produced. This car is honestly getting close to being one of a kind other than its brother, the Civic Type R. This car does hold a special place in my heart alongside with the Supra and the new Nissan Z. These Japanese performance sports cars are still out there pushing high RPMs, inspiring tuners, and giving a sense of nostalgia to all those who remember the raw beginnings of these vehicles. And I hope they stay in production as long as they stay true to the original purpose of these vehicles, which was to have fun in. That all being said, I had a lot of fun riding around in this thing. It was surprisingly quick, handled corners extremely well, and the exhaust was an extremely pleasant surprise. I'm interested in hearing what you think about the new Integra Type S, and if there's anything you'd like to see me review or comment on in the future, please leave a comment. But until next time, this is Forlorn Auto.